His jokes are sometimes crude and sometimes ass. With his wife of 15 years, there's always having his back. Even when his dogs and cats are being a pain in the ass, he hopes this will always last. Even bring the fun to the masses, rolling, dueling to one, beating every dungeon classes. With his goofy faces and voice all over the places, he hopes to never give up on his dreams. To bring joy and even the facts with his last podcast every week and stream with his friends to bring that energy like big booty claps. He never gets angry, but you can get scared. With anime waifus on his side, he's always prepared. Even though he's the crumpiest of bears, this bear is always cool in his chair. Tell the industries always beware, cause he coming after you and hopes you'll be there. So hope you'll have a good day, a good night, and as always have a good life. Much love. Good night, good night, good night, good night. Much love. Have a good night, good life. Grumpy Bear has always been there, even when life isn't fair. Even when no one is there, he's thinking of you with love and care. Even if you say like I care, he still give you a big hug with love and hair. What hair? Cause he's bald and eyebrows that are clear. With his kind words, he's never afraid to share, giving you that good bear stare. Even his kings, so beware.
No kink shaming.
Cause every weekend at 6:30 is bound to share. Stream sitting in his chair on every platform that he can share. Just as long as he knows you'll be there.
God given.
Please share. He's coming at you with style and flair, so let him say this again to make it clear. Though life isn't fair, so playing hard and be fair. Tell the industry to beware of this bear. So he can
I wish you a good day, a good night, and as always, have a good life.
Much love. Good night, good night, good night, good night. Much love. Have a good night, good life.
Then, okay, for those who are here, ooh, I'm a little hot today. For those who are here, this is the Bearthoughts podcast. We do this every Friday at 5 o'clock Central Time. Today, after this podcast, I am doing some Pathfinders because our DM decided to say, let's do it on Fridays instead. So I'm here for a long day. So you want to catch that? That's after this podcast. But today's, as always, you have the illustrious Corvo Ninja and a disembodied stealth that Jade. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you're having a good night. As always, having a good life. Let's get right into it. Corvo, I don't know if you have any topic pieces today, so we'll jam at the bits here a little bit here. But I want to jump at this one because oh wait, didn't you have one? Did you not send me one? I think you might have sent me one. I might have just forgot about it.
One. I just don't remember what it was now.
Let's see. Sorry, those are my little song at the very beginning there. Got me a little hyped up. So I will tell everybody here, for everybody, from my family members, we do have another vehicle now. So, we have 2 vehicles again. So it's always nice to have. If you're someone out there that only has 1 vehicle, 1 family, you find that things start getting a little more difficult and what you can and can't do when one only person has a vehicle and they need to get to jobs and you can't very much go out and do things to earn you some money yourself. Which now that I have my own vehicle back again, I'm going to be trying to make some little side money again for personal, enjoyment, but also helping out things. The Deadpool movie's coming out this week, so we're excited to go see that.
Absolutely.
Because I've been waiting for it, but I've already heard some little things here and there. Some people are already giving it like a 4 out of 10. I'm hoping Disney didn't do that. I'm hoping that's just people just being hard asses.
That must be people around you because everybody I've talked to is giving it like a 12 out of 10.
I hope so.
Like one guy at work is so fucking excited and loved it so much that he has clips of it on his fucking phone that he went back and found later to make gifs out of.
But yeah, I'm excited to see it. I can't wait to see it. We're gonna try. Well, hopefully, we're gonna try for the first time experiencing the movie in D-Box or D-Rocks, whatever it's called.
It's called D-Box.
Yeah, D-Box. We're gonna try and see how it is with D-Box and hope it's worth it. And that it's gonna be kind of weird because, like like I said, I thought the tornado movie might be good for it, but my wife doesn't want to see that, even though she likes the originals. But she wants to see that movie. So I'm like, okay, well, let's try it out and see if it's any good. But it's gonna be kind of a surprise because she doesn't know what me and Stealthy have in store or have in plan. So I'm gonna tell her to get in the vehicle and we're gonna start driving. She'd be like, "Where are we going?" Just shut up until we get there. That's what I'm doing to her. Just shut up till we get there. But yeah, we'll try that out. Hope it's gonna be good. Hope it's gonna be fun. And
you do know when this shit goes boom, I'm gonna claim ignorance because I had nothing to do with this shit.
Yep. But I'm hoping it's a bit little day night. Of course, she woke up this morning. One of the first things she said, she was going, "I need a vacation." I went, same. So hopefully in October, we can try again. Get together and do some things.
That'd be nice. Need a vacation. I was sitting at the break table at one point today. One of my coworkers looked me dead in my eyes and was like, "Dude, you okay?" And I was like, "No." He goes, "Yeah, I knew something was up because you're not like as energetic and like into shit as you normally are." I'm like, "Listen, I've come to a realization. I need a vacation." They're like, "Well, we all need a vacation." I said, no. Not like you. I need a vacation from me. And he's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I'm like, "Listen, I've gotten to the point where I'm even mad at myself. I want to, if I could whoop my own ass and it not affect, budgets and shit right now, I would do it because I am so fucking fed up with certain shit."
Yeah, you just got back from your little trip with your son's birthday, but like y'all do a lot of vacations personally where y'all go out and do stuff, right? And you're going rides, you're time crunching, you're trying to get here, you're trying to get there, you're trying to make it to places and on time and make it to do things. And sometimes he's like, "No, I just need a vacation when I do nothing." How about that?
Well, the last one wasn't that bad. The last one, we literally didn't plan on like what rides we were doing or anything. We just walked around and did what we felt like, which was fine. We slept as late as we wanted to. We didn't have alarms. We did all that good shit. The problem is that 2 days doesn't fix 6 months worth of fucking stress. But at the end of the year, if I make it that long without going nuclear,
The little mini ones are just to make it to the big ones.
Yeah.
I plan to have very good time and say fuck it to you to everyone.
Oh, that's what you should hit your boss and ask him, like, "Oh yeah, just fly me over. I'm coming. Just fly me over," or tell him to come watch the Bearthoughts podcast every Friday. Sorry, self-plug.
While you bullshitting, while you are bullshitting, apparently that particular one plays D&D.
Oh, really? I saw a commercial for D&D in Japan. Again, I'm not trying to say Japan's the greatest state and country, blah blah blah. No. But like the way that they advertise for D&D in Japan is like hardcore. Like, have you seen it before? It is like live action. Like they went at it hard for the commercial for D&D. I'm like, for us, we don't get no much commercials for D&D at all. But over there, it's like, no, blow that thing up.
You know how I found out he's a D&D nut?
What?
his background on his fucking laptop was a sick ass custom D20.
Ooh. Okay.
And I asked him, I seen it, and I was like, where'd you get that D20? Because it's a real die. He has it at home. But he took a picture of it and made it his background.
Mm-hmm.
He had it custom made. He literally went somewhere and told them, this is what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And I want it to tournament specifications.
Mm.
So all the little ornate shit and shit on there, like they had to do that shit and continuously weigh this die the entire time while doing it to make sure they're not taking off too much in some place or adding too much in some place.
So you wanted a certain weight. A certain
no,
look.
he wanted it tournament. He wanted it tournament weight and leveled, but he wanted it to look a certain way, which is fucking hard. But they did it.
Was it
and he was like,
gemstone?
He's like, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I can tell you what it was made out of, but me and you would cry because we don't have the kind of money it takes to have one of those stones.
There's a couple YouTube channels actually I subscribe to that actually make custom gemstone.
You know how big this is?
Yeah.
What's the hardest stone on the planet?
Quartz? No, diamond?
Yep. Now, do you know how many carats that stone would be?
So he had a diamond cut because he had to put it on diamond grindstones just to be able to cut it, even a gem. So he had a diamond cut, polished. He had the size of that diamond had to been larger than the actual dice itself, and it depends on how big it was. And of course, I don't know how big tournament grades are.
Now I'm going to describe some stuff to you. So you know all the edges, where the flat surfaces meet. Every one of them have a carved dragon.
Oh, so you did dragon logo on the degrees.
You had it engraved with dragons on all the creases, and the 20, and the 10, where the zeros are dragon eyes.
Oh, that's sick, boy. So yeah,
I was looking at that shit, and he's like, "Do you play?" I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "What kind of die you use?" I was like, "The cheapest shit that I could find." I was like, "Damn!" I feel like I used to think, because I played for a number of years. You know, I'm a little bit playing D&D. You know, kind of in the group. I'm not a newbie. Now I feel like a complete broke ass newbie.
I was like, "You got diamond? I got 3D print."
I asked him, I was like, "You ever play with it?" He said, "Every time I play." This motherfucker is chunking more money in his rolls for a game than my house and all my cars and everything else probably cost.
You know that they will never chill, but you know when he rolls a nat 1, he's grabbing that dice going, "Ooh, you know worth so much money, I'll chuck you across the room right now." Go to jail.
he did say he did get in trouble by his wife the second time he played, because they played on her glass tabletop and he was chunking a diamond.
Ooh.
And she told him real quick, like, "If you cut one more gash in my table, I'm gonna show you what to do with that diamond."
But yeah, that's cool. I would like to, I love you imagine there's a bunch of rich guys going to their basement, like, all right, you're thinking outside the room, like they're probably planning some evil scheme of how to take over the world or how to dominate this other company, and then they throw the hoods back and going, "Roll for initiation!" Ha! And all of them are getting
now coming Krampus.
Not 20, yeah! Just like the hype they must be getting for people that.
He said they turned it into a drinking game one night.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah, every time you hit 10 or above, you had to take a shot of sake.
Oh boy, that as long as it's little tiny cups, I'm sure you could probably make that last.
No. The shot was you pick a bottle of sake up and you do this. That's your shot. It's like we went through lots of sake and game lasted for 2 days.
But yeah, it's cool to see that the other coaches are starting to get into that game and starting to do it. But you know, D&D is one of those kind of things. It's not always just about like how it plays, but the memories you make of it, and that's the kind of stuff that will make you remember to kind of remember D&D for many years.
I got a real good memory. I got it last night, and I will never forget it. My wife says "fuck spiders," even in D&D.
Oh, but yeah, if anybody wants to watch that, it's on the VOD channel. But yeah, I was thinking about this the other day, and I heard somebody brought this up, and I want to get your thoughts on it. I did kind of ask the question in the Discord, but I'll ask it here for those who want to think about it. Would you rather watch or play a game that has a lot of cool moments in it, like oohs and ahs, but after you're done watch it and played it, you forget about it, right? You don't think about it pretty much at all week, or pretty much at all ever. Or a game that you, at the end of it, the fondness of what that game gave to you makes you remember it for years. Or a TV show, that is.
See, I like cool shit. I like oohs and ahs, but I want to be able to remember it. But you're talking to the guy that literally spent 14 years of his life trying to find a movie that he thought was great when he was a kid and couldn't remember what the fucking name of it was.
But it had an impact on you.
I would say I want to have the fond memories, but I guess for once I'll be the cake and eat it too guy. Mm-hmm. I want the cool shit with the fond memories. That's what I want.
Yeah, we all want to have our cake and eat too. And people brought this up with the Star Wars, right? The newest series of TV show Star Wars series. And this guy was stating it as there were some cool moments in the newest series of Star Wars, right? The TV show. There were some cool moments in it. The fight scene was pretty cool. It was pretty nice. But like when the TV show's over, he forgets about it. He doesn't even think about it. It's not even on his mind. But when he thinks of the old Star Wars, it always comes back to him, right? He always remembers it. Even if there was not a lot of cool moments, it impacted him in such a way where he just can remember it. But like me, I think of like the prequels with Yoda's fights. I will never forget those fights. Those moments were like sick. But the rest of the movie, kind of a blur to me.
Well, see, there's a couple of things to that too. Some of that has to do with the age that you're exposed to it to. Mm-hmm. I mean, think about it. As a kid, some of that shit's gonna impact you, and you're gonna always remember it. But if you watched it now, it wouldn't be as big an impact.
Yes,
you know what I mean. So you wouldn't remember it moving forward. So I would say that what I want is I want something good, something that I remember, something I want to rewatch. But I would also have to make sure that I understand that what impacts me now and gives me that now may not be the same as what impacted me then and gave me that then moving forward. So
yeah. So example I was trying to think of for video games is like when World of Warcraft first came out. It wasn't about the graphics, even though the graphics at the time were pretty dang good. There wasn't a lot of like cool, like, you know, fight scenes and flashing animations, and, you know, like nowadays that they have like full on choreographed movements and magic and flying everywhere, right? But back then it was impactful to me because it was one of the first video games where you could play with a lot of people and be in communication with them, right? Be able to talk to them. It was like AOL online, for those who remember that. But inside of a video game where you can talk to all your friends and family at the same time. And the game was nice, right? The game was fun, but it was groundbreaking to be able to chit chat with so many people at one time and talk to all of them, and you know, be like in a phone call with a bunch of people at the same time. That would really made it more impactful to me because I was able to play with newfound friends and it wasn't about the oohs and ahs and magic and flying, even though there was there, but it wasn't like, oh my god, graphics back then. And then you're showing me the movie Mori in the Land of Far Away.
Mio in the Land of Far Away. That movie impacted me big enough when I was a kid that when I got to be an adult and wanted to try to find it again, I literally spent 14 years trying to remember enough about the movie to figure out what the fucking movie was.
So,
and luckily for me, my lovely wife
found it.
put in some serious hours, even though she won't admit it, going off of my little descriptions, trolling the internet until she found it.
Okay, so maybe just to put a thought here, maybe more things are memorable if it impacts you emotionally and on the feelings than it impacts you on the eyes. Does that make sense? Like, stories nowadays probably fixate too much, or video games and movies, so like are so fixated on the graphics, the choreograph, the action, the look and feel of the movie or video game, more than what the story is trying to portray. What is and that to me is, if you can impact my feelings, like for example, Zenless Zone Zero. It's a fun game. It looks pretty. It's not. I'm not sponsored by them more. I can say this. It's a fun game. It looks pretty, but the story, don't care for it at all. It's not a very impactful story. And after I've done playing a game, I forget about it. I don't think about it all day at all. But as soon as Genshin Impact comes out with a storyline, I'm talking about that for weeks because how good the story in that game is, and I will always remember Genshin Impact.
Emotional impact is one of the greatest impacts that'll happen to you. There are movies that I think are great, other people think are shit, but they impacted me emotionally, not them. Yeah. So that's why it holds a certain standing. Like, what the hell was the name of that movie? Shit. Give me a minute. Keep going. I'll think of it in a minute.
And the same thing goes for when I watch what's the name? Violet Evergarden, the movies. Those things, I've never cried as hard as I have in those movies ever. I never cried this hard in my life in watching movies. But I will always remember that anime from now on, just because how emotionally it dwelled on my heart.
And see, Claymore did that for me. Claymore did that for me. From the standpoint that you watch this person and you're introduced to her as this badass, and come to find out as it goes on, she's literally the lowest of low in her order. She's the one treated like shit. And all she has done ever since she did this was try to live up to the standard of somebody she admired the entire way. And it's just fucking bitch slap after bitch slap after bitch slap, and it gets to a point where it wears her down. You see it happen, and you're sitting there going, don't give up. Don't you fucking give up yet. Don't you do it. You know, and shit like that impacts you. Now I'm gonna bring up a spot that I would venture to say anybody that watched this episode of this anime, even if they didn't watch any other fucking episode, if they watched this episode, if this shit didn't tug at your heart, you have a problem.
Yeah. Okay.
And you know which episode it is. We're going to reference it from Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted Daddy to die.
Yes.
Everybody.
Yes.
I mean, I think even the homunculus would have killed his ass on grounds of that's just fucked up.
Yeah.
You know, the man merged his daughter with a fucking dog.
Yes. And the dog was still speaking, Daddy, Daddy, hold me, Daddy. I'm like, wow.
At that point, I was like, all right, I get it, creators. You wanted to fuck with my heart, and you did, but you've also pissed me off. So Never let me run into the voice actor for this character because my brain might not separate the fact that he's a person and that was a character, and I don't want to go to jail for homicide.
Yeah. So that's
that is remember that kind of viewed his research too as his child, not his child, which makes it worse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he was about to lose his research because there was just not enough money.
I don't give a fuck what the reason is.
Like he lost his reasons for why he needed the money, and then at that point it was just like it was no longer about the money; it was just about his research.
And it was all about the extra mile they went, you know, because like I could have like not been as mad, but they let her speak and call him daddy.
Yes,
and that
called
shit
out for
broke my heart.
And I was, can we still go play? Can we still go play? Can we? I'm like, no, we can't go play no more.
Motherfucker. Okay, I'm sorry. That shit's emotionally charged for me. It will. I will die. And if someone ever asked me in the hereafter, is there one thing that you could set right in the world? I was like, yes, we need to go back and fix that girl in that fucking anime.
Yeah.
Get the artist, have him separate them, make a story. I don't give a fuck. Make her right again.
Yeah, like some kind of like end credits, like they found a way of reversing it or something. But like that entire series was memorable, right? But there wasn't ever times in anime or TVs or video games where there was like, oh my god, that one cool scene in it. But everything else was just forgettable. Like just like, but that one spot was so sweet, but everything else, I don't remember nothing else about it. And that's how I feel like with some of the old Star Wars movies, like the prequels. Like I love the Jedi, the Jedi fight scenes, but I don't remember anything else.
Agreed. I mean, but see, I'm a little different because like I remember all the Star Wars movies, the old ones and the new ones because I'm just that big a fan of it. And hang on, I'm showing you something.
All right. But at the same time, like this new anime I'm watching is called I Parry Everything. It's a good anime, but it doesn't have no appeal to me at all. Like once I've done watch this series, I'm gonna forget about it completely. Like it's a good anime. Yeah. It has some pretty moments. The character's likable, the story is interesting, but once the story's all said and done, I'm gonna forget about it and it will be a blip in my memory. And it's not because it's bad, it doesn't like pull at me, right? It has no emotional things to it. Given the idea of the show, it's a kid that wants to become a adventurer someday. His mom and dad passes away. Spoilers. And he's told he has no talent, no abilities, and the one move he's good at is parry, right? Therefore, ergo, the move, his thing, the TV shows I parry everything. But he doesn't realize in his trying to better himself, he's now at a broken stage. He can parry anything, but he's also like made his power like he can do like really large fireballs. He can do a really amazing heals. He can do like he can be really really fast and sneaky. He learned all this by never giving up and trying to be stronger. I'm like, oh, that's endearing. But the payoff is just like
it's like what was it? Solo Leveling. Yeah. He didn't know that when he went down there originally that he was gonna figure all this shit out and make himself broken. Mm-hmm. He just went down there because he's like, fuck it, I need to be better because bad shit happened to everybody last time. Yeah, most of everybody died. I don't know how the fuck I made it out, but I know I don't want to do that shit again, you know? Mm-hmm. And then he, because like you said, in betterment of himself, finds himself in a situation
where he has to better himself or he's dead. But this show was just like, get better, get stronger. He got better, he got stronger. Now he's broken. It's like, where's the build-up? Where's the emotional appeal to kids or to viewers going, hey, just because someone tells you you don't have no talent, you have nothing going for you, you should just give up, don't give up, keep on going, and see the struggles, and this is what you're gonna go through, and get through it. You see a light in the tunnel. But now he doesn't think he's very strong, right? He doesn't think he's a badass. He doesn't think he's overpowered. He's still like very grounded, right? He's still in that mindset of I have no talent, I have no skills, but I keep on like doing amazing things. And he's like, oh, this is just I'm on level 1, so this is supposed to be average for everybody else. It's like, no, you're above average, and you don't even know it. It's like, that's not emotionally appealing, right? It doesn't tug at me to want to remember it. It's just like, here's a story for a story. Done. What? Ta-da! I'm like, that's not very good. And then, you know,
there's also reasoning behind it.
Hmm.
Okay, because if you reverse that, where it's an average person and they try their hardest and they say average, you don't want to watch that either.
No. yeah. It's like going from the hero's journey. You see the hero at the beginning of it, and then the end of it, and then you skip all the middle part, and you went straight to the end and went, all right, now he's broken. Now he can go kill the Demon King. It's like, but I want to see him get stronger.
They complain about that too. They're like, well, we're so tired of seeing they get stronger first. So they go, okay, well, let's try this. But you can't do a boring one because nobody wants to watch a boring one.
Yeah. I guess they couldn't think of one.
So you can't win for losing.
Yeah. But like it's still a good show. It really is. And I'm having a good time watching it, but once it's over, I'm gonna forget about it. But then we got shows like Redo of a Healer, which is totally trash. Completely utter trash anime. But I will never forget it. Because wow, the impact that anime had. It was bad, but like you can't forget it. It's just that crazy of an anime to watch. Redo of a Healer. If anybody wants a roller coaster of a ride, boy, you get it in Redo of a Healer. But it's not a good one. it's just not. And I watch a lot of trash animes because I'm a mind of, if I'm gonna watch it, I'm watching all of it. I do not take step 1, 2, and not do the rest of it. Unlike if it's One Piece, then they need to give me time because I put that on hiatus because it's just too much to keep up with.
There's a lot of One Piece.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the remake. You were looking up something you said you're gonna show me, or
Yeah, I couldn't find it. But you know, there's shit out there that you're gonna remember. Like for me, we talk about video games. I'm always gonna remember Dishonored. Hence this.
yes.
I will always remember it. And it's not because Dishonored had the greatest graphics.
Mm-hmm.
I thoroughly enjoyed the trip through the story.
Okay.
It was wild because you not only did you have to play a character in a game, but you chose. And your choice affected a little girl that you didn't even see again until the end of the game.
Yeah.
However you did it. Yeah, well, bits and pieces until you get her back to a certain point. But yes. But you don't see her, like, you're not with her all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And knowing that changes your thought process on the way you play it, which also changes the way the story feels to you.
Yeah.
So, like, you could clearly see that the story was set up for you to want to seek vengeance for the men who killed the Empress / your love.
Yes.
Clearly, that's what it was set up for. But then they throw the wrench in it. What you do is going to affect how her daughter is in the future. So do you kill people and turn her basically into a heartless dictator? Or do you try to bring them to justice, I guess, in the best way possible?
Yeah.
And try to make her into a good leader?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you kill certain individuals because you feel like they deserve it and avoid others and make her kind of, that neutral party.
Yeah, right in between
Because
the line.
what you do definitely changes how her alignment is at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But for most guys, they struggle that entire game because your natural instinct is this bitch just fucking impaled my woman. All these bitches need to die. Every one of them need to die. That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
But then you're forced to confront that inner father figure. But wait, if I do that, then the little girl goes fucking evil.
Paywall. Yeah.
And that game affected me and made me think about the way I play a character.
Mm-hmm.
Probably more so than any game I've ever played.
Yeah. Another example for me was Styx. It's a game that most people don't even know about it. When I first played it, I loved it. It was a lot of fun playing it. It's a lot like Dishonored and a lot like Assassin's Creed. So if you like this kind of game, I could recommend it. Styx, Masters of Shadows, and Styx, Shard of Darkness. So I played this, probably 2019. I played this. Last played it according to my Steam game here. It was a lot of fun playing, but when I beat it, and it was funny. It had good actions. It looked good for the time. Like when it came out, it looked great. But as soon as I was done with the game, I forgot about it. But I still can say it was a good game. But
another game that went along the same lines of like Dishonored and Styx was Thief. But I'll never forget Thief.
Mm-hmm.
Because the storyline in that one was pretty fucking. It was fucked up. Like it was to the point where you were going, damn, I just want to stop playing because I don't even want this dude to go through anymore. Just like fuck it, I don't want to finish the game because this is some fuck shit right here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, dude's partner. Spoiler, she dies.
Yeah.
And then you're haunted by this bitch and memories that flood back to you in very inconvenient situations. And you find yourself in places and you go through things because you can kind of remember some things, but you kind of can't. And then she's trying to remind you, and you finally get to a point where you're like, dude, this dude's head is so fucked up right now that if I go any further, I think my controller's going to stop reacting to me and he's going to commit suicide. This bitch can't take much more.
Mm-hmm.
He just can't. But I'll never forget that game because I remember thinking to myself, damn, I feel bad for this guy.
Yeah.
So that's some messed up shit.
Yeah, so all this wind down to pretty much say is I think, and this is a personal stance on it, you give your thoughts on it. Not all of it, right? There's a few diamonds in the rough, especially in video games. Anime, I'm not having that much of a problem. Few here and there. A lot of them I'm liking, but there's a few that I will forget after I'm done watching. I would enjoy it. But a lot of games right now are looking for that big spectacle, right? That oohs and ahs and pretty and looks cool. Yep. And a lot of good games are being remastered of old games because those old games gave us that emotional impact.
That's their attempt to take emotional impact and put it with cool and pretty.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're doing. I mean, perfect example is the remake of Knights of the Old Republic. The storyline to that game was fucking phenomenal. Mm-hmm. It was light years ahead of where it should have been at that day and time. Yeah. It really was. I mean, it was intricate. Everybody had their own story that caused them to be the way they were. And then there was the main story that caused the primary antagonist, protagonist, that was the fucked up thing, he was both, to be the way he was. And then you had decisions. Again, decisions. Fuck up. And, you go from being the guy that saved everybody to fuck it, nuke them all, whatever, don't care, or the other way around. And again, choices breed emotional attachment. Emotional attachment breeds emotional impact. Emotional impact breeds, I remember this shit.
Yeah, longevity.
I will never ever forget it. I mean, I would not be lying if I didn't tell you that the whole reason I want a PlayStation 5 is to get that game when it releases. Now, there's other games I do want. There's the Final Fantasy 16. I want it. I want the new Final Fantasy 7 Crisis Core, or what is it called? I can't remember what it's called, but no, there's a second part that's out for it, but it's only on PS5 and it's something else. But anyway, I want both of those. But the primary thing I want that console for is I know they're going to release the remake for Knights of the Old Republic on the PS5. And I want to play that game.
Yeah.
So the name of that other one was Final Fantasy Rebirth.
Yeah. The Final Fantasy, what's that from Final Fantasy 7, right? I'm not crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like that was to me a have your cake and eat it too kind of moment. Like that was where they took an emotional impact memory game that made people people have been talking about it for years, and they went, okay, let's take that to have that impact to your memories and to your love of it, and to new kids, the modern day kids, and let's just revamp it where it's now the oohs and ahs. Like you had the cool moments in the game that you wasn't in the original one because the graphics were limited or the hardware was limited back then, and now let's put it in the game and let's just go wild with it. And I think that a lot of games right now are just going, here's all the oohs and ahs. Let's just forget the emotional impact. Let's make a memory for these players. Let's make a emotional appeal to these players. And it's messaging and really just like pretty. It's just pretty. While other games like Elden Ring, that game is not it's not very stunning looking, right? It's not a very stunning looking game at all. It's kind of nice, right? But the story is so enthralling and it's so deep that people are like deep diving. This whole channel is about this one video game story, and it's written by the same guy that made Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Which Game of Thrones, at first, it was impactful. It was like everybody was talking about it. No one could forget about it. But the end, everybody just forgot about it because it was just that bad. Like, that had no appeal to anybody. Everybody's like, let's forget about the end and just get like up to a certain point. Remember that, all that cool spots. Even though the end was cool, like in some ways, like the fight with the little girl on the White Walker, right? That was cool. The dragons flying around, that was cool. Him killing one dude killing his wife. Spoiler warning. I'm not gonna say who it is. Like those were interesting, but didn't really have the impact because it was so rushed.
Mm-hmm. Well, what story have you been looking at?
What do you mean story? You mean the show?
No, she's saying, which Elder Ring have you been looking at?
The newest one.
The newest one?
Yeah.
Because from what I've seen, they've been keeping up with the graphics on everything. So
yeah, but like it's not like realistic graphics. It's not like human skins, pores, fine hairs. It still looks nice, but it's not like it's more stylized than it is. Well, I would say like real Engine 5 kind of graphics that everybody's putting in their video games nowadays. So
but not everybody that for their games though. So I'm not understanding why it's not cool.
Well, what he said, and that's also a subjective point.
Yeah.
So like he may not find the graphics appealing. You may think they're gorgeous. Like I know people at work that are all about the graphics that are in like Genshin would be what they would call the pinnacle of fucking graphics. And then there's a guy that sits right next to him that thinks the graphics in something like Elder Rings or something like that, that's the pinnacle of graphics. It's what is appealing to you.
Yeah.
So that's
But it's not like ooze. It's like there's some pretty scenery.
It is the pinnacle.
Yeah, for that style of game. Yeah, that style of artistry it helps push forward the storytelling. It's dark, it's gritty, it's kind of a little bit more on the grotesque side of things in certain bosses and certain things, but it isn't like God of War, right? Where they're trying to go for like peak of realistic looking of everything. Like the people look realistic, the kid, the water, even though there's some people and people make jokes about this, about like there's some people that literally work on water engineering and how water looks in video games. Is like, is that really important? Not really. Am I gonna remember the water in the video game? No, I will remember the impact the game had on me. That's why people love Elden Ring, because it has such an impact to them, better than just trying to be all shiny and glowy.
Listen, I'll be honest though. If y'all want to see me get broken, let them remake Final Fantasy VIII with the same technology that they remade 7 with.
Yes.
And I'm broken. At that point, you won't find me.
Then
again, I will dive into the fucking console.
And that'd be the same thing with me if they made like remade 9 and made it in like Genshin Impact, kind of like, cartoonish look of it, right? That style of cartoon anime kind of look. I would die playing that. I would love the heck out of it. Doesn't need to be realistic, because it has such an impact to me. The story wise, the gameplay, the memories I had with it. It could be nostalgia, right? But I want nostalgia today. I don't want nostalgia of my past. I want nostalgia of the day. And Genshin Impact is my nostalgia of today, because it's present, right? And I'm still playing it, and I'm still gonna have memories to years to come when the game is closed and dead and no one's playing it anymore. I'm gonna still remember Genshin Impact because of nostalgia of the day. And I think Elden Ring would be the same thing for a lot of people. A lot of people love it. I want to play it myself. I just never bought it because it's pricey.
You were just saying that the water doesn't matter. Tell me that you haven't played a game where the water does not match the graphics of the rest of the game.
Oh yeah, it looks so weird.
That you remember that.
Yeah, but it didn't impact me, right? Like, oh my god, that water was so bad. I'm impacted now. The game's ruined for me.
Did you still remember it? You thought it was weird. You don't immediately go back to that game, do you?
Let's see. Well, Warcraft, but like if you play a classic, it doesn't really, like back then, like, oh, it looks right for the world, right? Warcraft's water was terrible when I was a kid, but I look at it and play the classic. I'm like, but it fits the world, right? This water is in high fidelity, and the rest of the world is a bunch of pixelated, or the water's pixelated, but the rest of the world is high fidelity. It didn't look weird. But over the years, they have upgraded it.
Something doesn't look right, you're less likely to go back to it.
In other words, what she's saying, they spend that time on it to make sure that it looks right, so that you don't have something to say negative about it.
Yeah,
it's important for the game's survival, not for the water broke the game, but for the water didn't really fit this scene. I don't know if people start picking it apart at that point, but if there's nothing to pick apart, then it lives on. So I guess that what she's trying to say is that while it doesn't seem important outwardly to your experience playing it, it could impact, like if it was wrong, it could impact whether you go back or not. So they're just trying to make sure they've got it all worked out.
A lot of water in that game, or in the movie, right?
Which movie?
Moana.
Moana. Okay, yeah.
Think about it. If they had done that wrong, what would have happened?
Oh, they would. Yeah, you're right. They would totally would have bashed it, because the whole thing was about water. Well, being her on the water.
Right. So just because something doesn't seem to be important doesn't always mean it's not.
Well, yeah. If the theme of it is a lot of water.
Well, no. I mean, just think about it this way: all those details that you're like, they did so great on this, they did so great on that. It has to all match. It all has to match, or else it'll clash. And as soon as it clashes, people don't want to play it. Whether they admit that or not is a different subject.
It's kind of like a survival game that I played one time. I wish I could remember the name of it, but I can't. But everything in that game looked great, except for the blocks. When you refine the blocks to build like your block home,
Yeah.
the blocks looked totally like shit.
Mm-hmm.
And because it looked like shit, and
it's like
didn't
Minecraft.
it didn't match everything else out.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the game looked then at odds. So then you start seeing the whole game is not looking. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a snowball effect. So when they have someone doing like water engineering for a game, they're trying to not have that snowball effect. Let's not give them a reason that, everything looked great, but the water broke the cement, the immersion of everything else, and now they have something to bitch about. Let's not give them that. Let's pay somebody to do this shit good. Do it right so that we keep that immersion going on, because when you're playing a game, whether you're paying attention to that water directly or not, you know that it's there, and you know if it matches the surroundings.
Yes.
And so if it matches, you stay in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the moment that some shit don't line up right on a map, it breaks your immersion. Then you're looking around going, why is this shit like this?
Mm-hmm.
Why,
There's no reason behind it. You're gonna be
yeah, so it's important from an immersion standpoint, not important from a game mechanics standpoint.
Yeah. Well, I keep it going to the example because Warcraft has been around for so long. World of Warcraft, they had at one point a remodeling of their models. And when they remodeled the models, some of the trees, you remember the trees? They were very like almost flat looking, and they were like squared rather than like rounded. They were still old school. And
I spent a lot of time with them trees because I used to love to play night elves.
So you're running around with this this newer model of a character, and you were like your brain like almost, for me, like almost like blurred out the world, right? It was like I was so fixated on my character. But the moment I stopped and actually looked around, it was a little jarring. Right? So it's like whether or not you're fixated or not, you actually look for it intentionally, or you take a moment and look at the scenery. You might go and, okay, my character looks nice and pretty, but the rest of the world looks like garbage. And they eventually upgraded the world too. So it was like a progression kind of thing. And it's the same thing with armor. Like some people make this argument. They go back and get some old gear, like let's say they get some old gear from World of Warcraft classic days, and they have the new model, right? And they put on the old gear on the characters, and you can see like the individual pixels on the armor, right? But back then it looked great. It looked awesome. But put on a new character, you start realizing a couple flaws about it, and you put the newer armor, that's present day gear. I'm like, oh my god, this looks like it looks a lot cleaner, a lot more burn-in, a lot more pixels, a lot more they step away from burn-in a couple times. They start actually doing some actual shading and actual forming of bones and structures on the gear. That's why I say I know about burn-in. You know what burn-in is, right? I don't need to explain that. Okay, so it's one thing to be like, it can have an impact on it if you pay attention to it, but another thing, if you don't pay attention, you might not care about it. And I guess what people are saying, they don't really care about water. It's just water. Maybe because they're not paying attention to it, or they just kind of block it out their minds. Like they're not worried about it. They're just worried about what the story gives or how the game plays. And they see water and they see high fidelity in the water, and like, why they waste time on that? What? They could be working on something else in the game that could be more important in their eyes. To actually work on, rather than some cooler waves in the water. I just got done watching this one game where, and my wife was here, she'll be able to tell me the name of it, where you are on an oil rig, and you just got fired, and you're about to go home to your wife after you beat a guy, like he went to oil rig because he accidentally killed a guy that was beating up on his wife or doing something, and he killed him in self-defense, and he quickly went out and worked at an oil rig, got fired, and he was going to back to land, he knew he was probably going to get arrested. But the oil rig hit something in the ocean, and some kind of monster comes out of the water and starts eating and killing everybody on the ship, and it starts merging their bodies with it. You probably really like it. And you're trying to escape the ship while this fiends and monsters of your old crewmen are trying to kill you. And the water, when the waves are going underneath the oil rig, I mean, it's a storm. You can see the crashes of waves and water's going everywhere. You're isolated on this oil rig trying to escape, trying to get out of there, and try to save as many of your crewmen at the same time. And I'm like, boy, like this is the point where the waves actually have an impact on the story, because you are isolated in the middle of the ocean on an oil rig. It's not just an oil rig you gotta worry about. It's falling in the water and dying, because if you fall in that water, you're dead. There's no swimming back to the surface. But yeah, that
I got a game that'll piss Casey off.
What's that?
It's not water that was wrong with it. It was the heads. Divine Souls.
Divine Souls. Let me see this. What is it? Have I
The
seen this
game
one?
is great.
It,
It no longer exists.
but I loved the game when it was out.
Okay, yeah, I see it now. I remember this one.
The story, it was still in beta. They were trying to get it off the ground. The story was, getting good.
Mm-hmm.
They swapped owners. Then
The
those
gameplay is amazing. Problem was the heads were tiny versus the bodies. You had a baby head on a giant.
So like big bulky body, masculine, itty bitty head.
It went for the women too.
Oh boy.
It was funny as fuck.
I love that game, by the way.
And then eventually he kind of it became like a blind spot for him.
Yeah.
Me, it bugged me every time. And I would always make mentions like, what are you talking about? Their heads aren't right.
Yeah. Like
I
you would
love
notice
that
it.
game.
You would notice it, but he would just like kind of blur it out because everything else about the game was so good.
I
And
love
like
that game. I'm
flaw
not
was
gonna
just
lie.
like
If anybody's out there and you're looking for a game to pull out of mothballs and bring my game back, please.
Divine Souls.
God damn it.
I love that game.
There's a game I wouldn't mind them remaking. I don't know if you remember it. Jade Empire.
Oh, I do.
Okay. I would love them to remake that game. Because that game had, kind of like for you with the Star Wars game, had so many different routes, and it was so, for what it was at the time, it was on the same par as trying to get the other game, as Fable, in my eyes. And I would love them to remake that game.
That's another game I love. I love Fable 2 more than I did any of them, but Fable, yes, I loved it 100%.
So yeah, but like back then, those things had so much appeal to us. And people like, again, nostalgia is a hell of a drug, but when it's about that emotional appeal. Like it appealed to us at that age. Would it appeal to us nowadays? Do you think like if those games were like Fable was brought to modern day, would it be able to appeal to modern day audiences?
I think yes, I do. I especially think if they were to go and throw Fable in and give it some more of the graphics that they couldn't do then now, oh hell yeah.
Like there's people that play like Skyrim over and over and over, and I guess on the game.
I got a friend that has played Skyrim on every platform that they've released it on.
Mm-hmm. And that's like even kids nowadays are discovering it with mods, and that's still appealing. But like, is that the gameplay? Is that the story? What? I would love to ask somebody. I know what it is for me when I play Skyrim. It's the gameplay. I love the gameplay, right? But the story isn't half bad. But I don't very much remember it either. But it will have a lasting impact on me. But is that because of the game or the mods? I don't really know on a personal level. But I know Fable the story was really good. The graphics were great for the time. And for Jade Empire, it was the story, it was my choices, it was the abilities. Like there was so much there that I was just eating up, and I think even nowadays people could really drag themselves into. Let me look at this real fast. Yeah, he sent it here. Okay, let me see. It does look a little goofy, but I could see how you could just like blasé over it. Like it isn't like Beetlejuice, small head, big shoulder, kind of like.
No, this is being improved. Like this is where they had improved on it some.
Some, okay, but it still looks a little, but it doesn't look bad.
God, I love that game.
It doesn't look bad.
I'm depressed now.
Trust me, the heads were smaller.
Yeah, I mean, like, but a game like this, like when this game came out, do you know what this game is?
Shit. When did this game come out? Yeah. Early 2000s, wasn't it?
2008, 2010, something like that.
Yeah. And this game was more focused on more like at the time, more on the realistic graphics, on more realistic characters, right? While Warcraft was doing more of a stylized look to it. And that was more successful and gameplayer wise than Divine Souls. So what was being more impactful, the story and gameplay, or the graphics and how it looks? So you love the game, you love Divine Video. You probably the same.
I love the same story.
Level. Yeah,
story was fantastic.
So you probably put on the same level, or not a little bit above it, right? So at that point, it's like, what would be the modern a day equivalents to be able to find that emotional appeal with stylized or graphics to really bring the audiences of modern day to truly enjoy it without having to revamp something that of our generation that we loved and enjoyed if they just keep on making games with pretty graphics and scenery and cinematics. It's like, that's nice, but it's not necessary.
Right. I would think if they redid Divine Souls and they used like Unreal Engine 5, that game would still be here.
Keep the same gameplay, keep the same story, keep the same mechanics.
I think the story would be fine. I think the mechanics would be fine. She said they focused so much on the story that they lost part of the graphics. I think if they matched the intensity of the story with the intensity of the graphics, that game would still be here. Matter of fact, I would venture to say that some of the games that came out after it might not have even came out from the standpoint they wouldn't have been needed. They wouldn't have been called for. The audience wouldn't have wanted them.
But
it was a skill tree game. You know, it was like a Warcraft game. It had a skill tree. You had to have your skills. You had to do your quests. You had to follow your story. The only problem is they didn't put enough ass in the graphics.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that, but if you take the head out of the equation and look at the rest of the character, they did fine there.
Yeah.
They just didn't really hone it in on the worldly graphics, and they needed to work on the bus.
Yeah, but Warcraft is kind of the opposite.
If they'd have done that, that should have been fantastic.
Yeah, because like over the years, like in Warcraft, it was always like, oh, Warcraft killer, and all these great looking games. Like Terra, when it came out, I'm thinking, oh my god, this game looks great. It plays great. It's like World of Warcraft, and that game died afterwards. I'm like, but the game was so good though. It wasn't bad. But everybody's like Warcraft killer, and then Warcraft went from this very old stylistic kind of game and kept to modernize the style, kept to modernize it more and more and more. Right. The graphics are good, but then they start pulling away from how deep and impacting the story was, right? They start pulling away from that. I'm like, no, don't pull away from that. Stay with the story too. But they like graphics. No, story. They never moved the story. The story stayed in the same spot, and it's like, They lost it. They lost it.
I think part of the problem is that you had established games like World of Warcraft and some others that were established. They had a user base, they had fans, they had people playing it. So the company had money to continue to upgrade.
Yes.
The problem with Divine Souls was it wasn't that they couldn't have fixed it. They didn't have the capital to fix it. So that's why they went from one owner to another owner, because another group bought that game, but they didn't have the money required either. So after that, it just died.
It's about that capital.
Which is sad because the story was great. The game, the fighting mechanics, fantastic.
Yeah.
But they just couldn't get the money into the visuals that they needed to keep people engaged.
It's always about capital. And that's so sucks when you love something so much and then going, yeah, it's really good, but we can't financially keep up with it, so we gotta close you down. It's like, no, you're doing so good. Stop. Don't go nowhere. And Warcraft, like I said, not as many people playing the retail, as they call it, the retail story of the gameplay, because it looks nice, but the story is trash. And in the older school generation, even some modern day people, there's still people out there playing it right now, though, saying, "Oh, it's great though. The story's good. The story's great. Great graphics. Story's awesome. What's the big deal?" And all the old school players going, "It doesn't have the same appeal. It doesn't have that same grittiness. It doesn't have that same like World of Warcraft, conflict that they worry. You're no longer just a soldier on the field, but now you are the hero."
You're preaching to the choir, brother. I still have my box sets of discs down there from where I started playing.
Yeah, so it's and it's like, okay, but what about the modern day player? They're aiming for the modern day player, as if we're all dead and gone. I'm not dead. I'm still here. I still want to give you money. But but you're aiming for the new generation? They're not giving you the money, apparently. I'm giving you the money. Well, I'm not right now. I'm not, because I can't afford it. But I'm just saying, I would find a way. But yeah, this is my thought of it. We had the entire thing pretty much talking about that. But I just want to give your thoughts on it. There's a lot of things I would like TV shows and games to do, but they may never do it, and we have to make our own memories. And D&D, making up stuff.
When you hop off, I want to show you something when we get out of podcast.
All right, gotcha. But yeah, that will be it for today. A little later, about let me see what time it is. About 7, I'll be going and joining with the Pathfinder people, but I doubt we'll start at 7. You know how it goes. We join in for start at 7. An hour later, okay, now we're starting. It happens all the time. So yeah, I'll see y'all then. For those who want to watch that Pathfinder tonight, around 7 o'clock. At least I'll be kind of live around then. But as always, have a good day, have a good night, have a good life. Much love, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.